in as the starting point guard the last 2 games. It gets everybody back to their natural position. New York has played really well in the last 2.
And you take a look at Minnesota, the familiar 5. Lindsay Whalen, the only one of the starters to not make an all-star game. She actually was able to spend some time at home during this all-star break.
So she got some chores done around the house, got her hair done. Pretty good weekend for Lindsay Whalen.
All that important stuff for the Hutchinson, Minnesota native. 2 of the best in the business, Fowles and Charles, with the opening tip. And here's Bria Hartley, the new mom, bringing it up.
The most important thing about Bria Hartley at the point guard position is that it gets Epiphany Prince off the ball at her natural scoring 2-guard position.
Prince gets it back, and here is Shavonte Zealous, who has been more aggressive the last few games and hacked Sylvia Fowles as Zealous was trying to go for the steal.
Minnesota was in man-to-man defense that last possession. New York got them in a rotation, and one thing you'll see from Shavonte Zealous is attacking to the rim.
Coach Bill Lambier has asked her to be more aggressive offensively. Second leading scorer on this team behind Tina Charles, and that's just nifty inside to Sylvia. You can't stop her when she catches it there.
Screening action. If she gets space going to the rim, forget about it. If she's going to catch in the paint, it's going to be 2 points for Minnesota.
She leads all WNBA players in scoring in the paint this season. And a 3-second defensive 3-second call against Minnesota.
When we go back to that last possession where Sylvia Fowles started high, just a back screen by Maya Moore, does a great job. No bump by Zealous. Kia Vaughn couldn't get through it.
Prince at the line, hits the free throw. Epiphany struggled when these 2 teams met the second game of the season. Just going 1 for 10 from the floor when she came off the bench. New York has had to shuffle its lineup a bit. A couple of players going to play in Eurobasket competition in June. But they love this lineup. Zealous misses long, and Kia Vaughn kicks it back out. Charles guarded by Fowles. If you weren't really anticipating much of that tonight.
Yeah, that just happened because there was some defensive rotation. Those 2 players normally do not match up head-to-head. Tina Charles plays the 4 position.
I mean, she's looking right at the play right here. I mean, come on.
It's not enough for Coach Lambier to get the whistle. He wants it 2 seconds earlier.
Conversation with Mai Forsberg, who is our crew chief tonight, joined by Byron Jarrett and Brenda Pantoja. Bill Lambier in his 5th year in charge of the Liberty, back-to-back East Conference best records, but they have stumbled in the playoffs and have not made it back to the WNBA Finals. Moore on the switch, now guarded by Tina Charles, and Rebecca Brunson with the offensive rebound, but couldn't put it back. Lindsay Whalen goes crashing to the floor, and she's not getting up. And Cheryl Reeve very upset that nothing was called there. Whalen is up. Was free briefly under the basket, but Fowles couldn't get it to her, and that's a foul on Vaughn. Let's go back to Lindsay getting hit.
I think Cheryl Reeve was thinking it was an illegal screen. To come down and get to see it. Oof. Kia Vaughn kind of braced and lowered the shoulder.
I can't believe you guys missed that.
Whalen is not a player that is easily knocked down. One of the stronger players in the league. Maya.
You could be the strongest player in the league. Kia Vaughn is a big woman. If you run into Kia Vaughn, you're going to go down.
But Lindsay's staying in there. Cheryl Reeve has not made a move to get her out. Hartley left free after the double on Charles, and Rebecca Brunson comes up with another rebound. Only Tamika Catchings and Lisa Leslie have more rebounds in the history of this game. And how good is Maya?
Maya got by Shavonte Zealous, and there were 2 bigs there, but she was just too quick and got around them both.
Fowles and Brunson are all tied up on the block.
You see Maya Moore, she gets past the quicker guard defender, and then when she gets inside, both Vaughn and Tia Charles are there, but stutter stepping to the side, she can get around, and she finishes as well with that extended arm finger roll as anyone in this league.
Maya, the second leading scorer on this team behind Sylvia Fowles, who is having a career year. Now Whalen is going to go over, and Chuck Barta, the trainer, looks at her elbow.
I think she's got some blood that they've got to take care of.
Lindsay Whalen in her 14th year in the league. Her first year here was 2010, after starting her career in Connecticut.
It's illegal. She's in that blind spot.
So they patch up Lindsay Whalen, and she's ready to go. That's the matchup of the fives with Vaughn and Fowles, and Minnesota forces the turnover. Brunson has extended her range as her career is going on, but that rimmed out. And that's going to be 2 fouls on Rebecca Brunson.
This is just where Shavante Zealous excels. In transition and going to the basket, drawing contact. She leads the New York Liberty in free throw attempts because of the physical way she goes to the basket. Now, Rebecca Brunson picking up her second foul is big for this reason. She's their best perimeter defenders. That's why she was guarding Tina Charles. It's going to be a difficult task for Plannette Pearson now to come in and try to limit Charles on that end of the floor.
And here comes Pearson in her 15th year. Only Sue Bird is older, so she's the second oldest player in the league. Zealous gets to the line about 5.5 times per game on average, and she delivers.
Her last game against Connecticut, Shavante Zealous was 11 for 11 from the free throw line. What do you do with that? If the double doesn't come, I mean, what do you do with that? She's too big, too strong, too efficient.
Fowles already with 4 points, 2 for 2 from the floor. And there's that matchup you talked about with Pearson guarding Charles. And Tina just shot it right over her.
That's the thing with Tina Charles and the way her game has expanded throughout the course of her career, and her ability now to face up, shoot the three, dribble, penetrate from the high post as well.
That is her 12th made three of the season, hitting over 30% from distance. Simone got her own miss. Rhea Hartley, part of that 3-team trade with Chicago and Washington. Timeout on the floor. We have a tie game as we go to a timeout.
There's a reason that Minnesota had 4 All-Stars out in Seattle. They've got some players who can get it done. Sylvia Fowles, one of them. Maya Moore, another. Another pretty spectacular move. And how about another All-Star? She doesn't play for Minnesota, but Tina Charles, pretty good.
And how about a fake out? That was not a timeout. But that would have been a terrific rollout, Rebecca.
It was still good. It was a good roll in.
Whalen curls around that screen. Whalen 14th in scoring in the history of this league, 3rd in assists. Pearson still gritty after all these years. Maya with the step through. Now numbers for New York, but the one person back was Fowles. And Tina got fouled on the follow. Now we're going to take a timeout. Minnesota up 2.
The energy off the bench, and he likes her scorer's mentality coming in to give his bench a boost.
And that's a role that she has started to accept. She's considered it a demotion, which you really can't blame her when you go from a starter to playing off the bench, but she's still getting healthy minutes and contributing. Fouls inside of Kia Stokes, who has checked in. As Kia Vaughn takes a rest. Tina Charles, how about aggressive?
6'4", big, gets the rebound and pushes it the entire length of the floor.
Tina has half of New York's points. And they bring the double on fouls to force the turnover. Charles on Pearson.
And this is the pace right now that Bill Lambier wants to play. He wants to get out and push it. You know, he wants to get the defensive rebound and go. And when you have a big player like Tina Charles who can do that all by herself, there's only a handful of players in the league who can do this. Candace Parker is one of them for LA. Alyssa Thomas for New York is another. But what a luxury to have a big who can do that. And, you know, Cheryl Reeve was also talking to us how important pace is. She said we need to be efficient on the offensive end so we can slow down New York's push and transition.
Renee Montgomery in for Minnesota. Didn't take her long. Fritz can't get it to go, and Maya Moore comes up with the rebound. Monte Zellis, by the way, picked up the last New York foul. She's got 2. Lindsay Allen, the rookie out of Notre Dame, with the ball in her hands, was cut by New York. And then they re-signed her after Brittany Boyd went out with an Achilles injury. In fact, got hurt in the game against Minnesota on May 18th.
Bill Lambier was really surprised that no other team picked her up when she was cut.
Tina again. She has scored the last 9 points for the Liberty. Point guard certainly at a premium, and it is surprising that no one picked up Lindsay Allen. That's Maya Moore going up in traffic.
Her ability to hang in the air, because she drew some contact on that too, but her athletic ability allowing her to finish.
Ties the game back up at 14. Long distance shot by Rebecca Allen, third-year pro from Australia. Inside Maya. Hit from behind by Stokes.
We have 2 former MVPs and 2 former University of Connecticut players doing their thing so far tonight. Tina Charles, the range that she has on that jumper for a big. And on the other end, Maya Moore doing Maya Moore things. Look at the players converge. Tina Charles looked like she even got a piece of the shot, but Maya's still finishing.
There's Sugar Rogers. She has checked in for the first time tonight. 5th year out of Georgetown. Started her career here in Minnesota. Did not play a lot because she was playing behind some pretty quality people. And has taken advantage of her opportunity in New York. Named an All-Star this year. Tina Charles gets a rest, excuse me.
And Sugar's had some good games against the Minnesota Lynx. And of course, when you go against your former team, always you want to show them what they are missing out on.
Had 20 in their first game this year, hitting 4 threes. Fouls bottled up, still got it up and in. You think you got her stopped, and you don't.
Footwork. Playing in the post is so much about footwork.
So Tina Charles now on the bench. Lambier with 4 subs in.
Lindsay Allen is really good making that pass off a screen and roll.
Nayo Raincock-Akunwe with the basket. She is a rookie, went to Simon Fraser University in British Columbia. It's in Canada.
I love the geography lessons that you give during the course of a WNBA game.
She has been in the Canadian senior team since 2013. Kia Stokes with a couple of fouls now. Part of that collateral damage trying to stop Sylvia Fowles. We take a look at the upcoming WNBA national TV schedule. Coming up tonight at 10:30 Eastern, Seattle at Los Angeles. And Friday night, a doubleheader, Connecticut at Washington, Dallas at Seattle, 7 and 10 respectively Eastern time on NBA TV. And our next game will be a week from Thursday when Atlanta comes calling here to Minnesota at 8 Eastern time. For more on these games, go to WNBA.com or visit the WNBA app. Very happy to see that Elena Deladon not only played today, but got a double-double for Washington.
What, 29 and 10? She had a ridiculous performance, and they needed it. They had some struggles going into the All-Star break.
Fouls back at the line. Sylvia now with 8 points. Tina Charles has 10 to lead New York. Sugar Rogers can't quite get it to fall. And another rebound for fouls. Maya Moore, after a short break, will check in at the next whistle for Minnesota. They continue to go inside. And another foul on New York. Kia Vaughn now has 2. Both Kias, Stokes and Vaughn, with 2 personal fouls for Bill Lambier's team here in the first quarter.
Yeah, the bigs for each team have been unstoppable, even though their games are so different.
Across the board. 2-2.
You know, Sylvia Fowles can get you in that foul trouble because she posts so deep and so strong. And there's Tina Charles coming back in the game. Minnesota hasn't had a great answer for her because of foul trouble with Rebecca Brunson, their best post defender, being on the bench.
Sylvia now 4 for 4 from the line. She scored the last 6 points for the Lynx, who take their largest lead at 4 points. Closely played first quarter. Charles over Pearson.
I mean, what do you do? Pearson is a good defender, veteran player. She was right up on Tina, but Tina has such a high release. She doesn't need a lot of space to get her shot off.
Tina only had 6 points the first time these two teams played, but she was under the weather in a game that Minnesota won on the road. Fowles can't hang on, and now Fowles gets a very good hand as she heads to the bench in favor of Natasha Howard.
I mean, just look at the space. Tina Charles doesn't need much, and that's what she does. A little reverse pivot. What'd she have? A couple inches between her, her torso area, and Pearson still gets the shot off. It's because of the high release.
Moore got Tina up in the air, and then a block from behind by Allen. Ball stays with Minnesota, 7 seconds to shoot. Talked about that first game, the first meeting between these two teams, and Tina had an uncharacteristically bad night. She's not feeling well. She seems to be feeling pretty well tonight. She's all over it.
Nothing but healthy tonight.
Charles quickly got around Pearson, battles for the rebound. How about that one? And finishes with her left hand.
Not only finishes, knocks Maya Moore's hairband right out of her hair. It's a double whammy.
Maya's got it back into place. A 10-second difference between the game and shot clock. Montgomery on the switch, guarded by Charles, is quicker, but doesn't win that battle. And now New York tries to get the last shot of the quarter. Good defense by Maya to keep it away from Sugar Rogers. 4.4 seconds left to go. Maya continues to struggle with the headband. Going with the double headband. Inbounded. Charles guarded by Howard. And that is off the mark. The end of a very well-played first quarter. With 14 of New York's 20 points in the first quarter, scored 13 of their last 15 in a brilliant 10 minutes. That's a foul, and it could be a 4-point play. Rebecca Allen crashed into Maya Moore.
It's amazing to think back earlier in the season in May when Maya Moore was really struggling from the floor. She was not shooting well from the field, not shooting well from 3, and you knew it was only a matter of time till this happened. I mean, she's found her groove, getting the and one from the 3-point stripe. You know, Pam, oftentimes Bill Lambier is not the easiest coach to interview in game. I knew I was right when I walked over, and the first thing he said was, "Which is your better side? Where should I stand?"
Wow.
I think he figures he doesn't have a bad side, so it really doesn't matter to him.
Yeah, it's all about you. And Maya with that three-pointer gives Minnesota the 25-20 lead. Sugar Rogers gets her first basket of the night. She is the second leading scorer on this team behind Tina Charles. Lindsay Whalen back in. Maya double teamed. Rogers took it away. Now Lindsay Allen finds Rogers. Tasha Howard now trying to stop Charles as Allen hits.
Rebecca Allen just brings another dimension to the New York Liberty team when she is playing well, because she's got good size at the guard spot, can hit the three-point shot.
She's had tremendous success playing pro ball in her native Australia. Brunson ticks the front of the rim. Rebecca Brunson did not score in the first quarter. Neither did Simone Augustus.
Rebecca Brunson's minutes limited because of foul trouble.
Picked up a couple, trying to guard Charles. Tina found some space. And now Lindsay Allen calls a play. Getting it to number 31 is a good option. New York has scored the last 7 points to take the lead back.
Absolutely unstoppable Tina Charles has been so far in this game.
Charles last year led the league in both scoring and rebounding, only the third player ever to do that. Lauren Jackson and Shamiqua Holtzclaw did it before, and Tina's looking MVP-like again this year.
Tina Charles, the efficiency. I mean, what do you do with this? Pick and roll, 6'4", gather, finish. Some MVP stuff right there.
Where the big girls are showing up big tonight.
I mean, we know it's always only about the big players, right? I mean, generally it's a guards game, but when these two teams meet, it's going to be about the bigs. Sylvia Fowles, Tina Charles, one inside, the other has the versatility to bring it outside. But it's been a lot of fun to watch these two go, and you see what they've done so far. Both of them ridiculously efficient.
Tina has hit a three and missed a three. Fowles doing a good job getting to the free throw line. Try to feed her again, and she is just enveloped by 3 or 4 black jerseys and is fouled. Kia Vaughn, pictured, has 2 personals, and now she has 3.
Phil Lambier still searching, and he's fortunate in that he has a lot of bigs coming off the bench. Amanda Zawi-B at the table. She'll come in next. He can go with Kia Stokes, even though she also has 2 fouls. But he's got big bodies inside that can try to bang with fouls.
Zawi-B a favorite here. We played her college ball at Minnesota. Now in her 3rd year in the WNBA. Still trying to get her footing. Remember, she came out of Minnesota a year early. We have already had 9 ties in this game. Rogers guarded by Augustus, and now off the switch. Brunson was able to just go up and take it.
One of the things Brunson provides defensively is she's got the quickness to switch onto a guard on the perimeter.
They're trying to get it again inside the fouls, and the ball came right back to her.
That should be assist Maya Moore, bucket Maya Moore.
So it's been Moore and Fowles doing most of the scoring. They have combined for 25 of Minnesota's 29 points. Charles did not take advantage of the mismatch, had the size advantage over Whalen.
This is like a game of horse or even pickup where you're just trying to pass the ball to yourself. Right here, that's not the intention, but it's the result. All right, I'll just pick that right up and score myself.
Rebecca Allen got a hand on it, but Maya stayed composed. Shot clock at 5. Hartley got to get a shot off, just does. And Rebecca Allen was able to jet in there and The ball stays with New York after it was knocked out by Maya. Cheryl Reeves' team with just 2 losses on the season. The WNBA record is 5 losses. That was Phoenix 3 years ago when they won their latest title. Hartley knifes in.
And that shot was made difficult because of the help defense by Rebecca Brunson. Ooh, Maya Moore looked like she traveled.
Maybe once or twice
In the same possession.
And now the ball goes over to New York. Maya shakes her head, thought it was knocked out. Boy, Maya, one of the most competitive people, certainly in this league. Gia Perkins will come in for Minnesota at the next available opportunity.
Which would probably be a dead ball.
That would be it. And Javonte Zellis will come back in. She's been on the bench with a couple of fouls for New York. She has not scored a field goal. Whalen got fouled by Sugar Rogers after the rebound.
Whalen got in there mixing it up. That would have been Tina Charles' rebound if Whalen hadn't swooped through.
Whalen has shown more emotion, I think, as her career has gone on. Was a little bit more stoic.
Yes.
Certainly when she played at the University of Minnesota and now in Connecticut. And now that she's back home as a pro in Minnesota, she's getting a little bit more outwardly feisty.
She's letting the Wheezy come out.
Augustus with her first basket of the night. Zoe B has it knocked away by fouls. 14 seconds to shoot for the Liberty. Should be an interesting MVP race this year. You've got a lot of candidates. Fouls and Charles highlighted tonight, having great years.
Nneka Ogwumike, another one, and Brittany Griner before she got hurt. I mean, she was really doing some work down in Phoenix.
Charles with a little fadeaway. Oh, man.
What do you do? What do you do with Tina Charles when she's playing like this? But this is the thing. They're still down, too. She needs a little bit more support from the players on the floor with her.
Sugar Rogers just with 2 points. Prince with 3. Zellis only has 1 point. Whalen with a little fadeaway on her own and was asking for the foul. Rogers trying to make something happen, but she went up against fouls. So we go inside 5 minutes to go in the first half. Augustus just needs a little bit of space. What a terrific mid-range shooter she has been her entire career. Minnesota's biggest lead matched on a 10-2 run. And that sends us to a timeout.
And Katie, keep talking about the bigs, okay? Yeah, I played with Katie 1 year, my last year in 2003 with the Connecticut Sun.
Had a terrific career. And she came back and was honored earlier this year in Connecticut. You were there as well. Tina Charles has 20 points.
That's all?
Only 20? Pick it up now. 20 points and 8 rebounds. She has 9 double-doubles on the season. 138 in her career. That is second all-time in the league behind Lisa Leslie. Nice catch by Fouls, but Charles one-upped her with the block. Tina gets her own rebound, but then Gia Perkins was able to take it away and throws a perfect pass to Fouls.
The patience and timing by Gia Perkins was perfect. She could have thrown it earlier, but recognized, I don't want to make Sylvia Fowles dribble a couple times to finish. Waited just enough time to deliver. That's a veteran pass.
Perkins in her 14th year out of Texas Tech. Tina's gone a little bit cold. Another block for Sylvia, who is now 1 block away from 500 in her career. Whalen gets her miss. Off the double. Fouls tried to get fancy. Prince. Got a good look at it, but it just wouldn't fall. Piff only with 3 points so far. Perkins has it rim out. And Tina Charles now does have that double-double. That was her 10th rebound to go along with 20 points. WNBA season is here. Don't miss a minute of the action. Catch it live and in person. Get your tickets today at WNBA.com/tickets.
Catch it live in person.
Live in person.
Or live and in person.
Yes.
This is a great place to come and watch a basketball game in Minnesota. This year we're at the XL Center in St. Paul. Fans have traveled. Madison Square Garden, another great place to watch the games.
Zella's still looking for her first field goal. These fouls, Whalen and Augustus will head to the bench. They'll head back to the Target Center. The Lynx will next year as they're fixing it up. But yeah, what a great alternate building to have. This is where the Minnesota Wild play in the NHL, a newer building.
And we love this city. It's treated us well. Beautiful place to visit.
Lynx leading by 4. Their largest lead of the night was 6. And that's nice work between Pearson and Maya Moore.
And you know when you go against Minnesota, you're going to guard that. A screen for Maya Moore on the baseline. She curls around, finishes beautifully.
Shot clock at 5. Prince has to step back from Brunson. And Pearson got a good box out on Stokes. Perkins.
Gia Perkins, a veteran who started the season slow, but has really come on of late, as has Renee Montgomery, her backcourt mate off the bench.
Nice slashing move by Prince to get inside for a basket.
She's had a couple of those. A hesitation move where she totally makes the defenders bite and can go around.
WNBA talking about how she needs to score more. She was the point guard earlier in the season. Boy, Pearson just flipped it up there. And the lead has grown to 8. Largest of the night for Minnesota. New York only led briefly, and that was by 2 points. Prince couldn't get it to Stokes cleanly, and here come the Lynx. 3-on-2, and Maya almost threw it away. Pearson takes it right to Stokes. Or Fournette with back-to-back buckets.
Bill told us in the interview he wanted to get into the benches. Well, right now, Minnesota's bench is really performing. To the floor, one of the best teams in the league at that, and then get out and run.
Prince left open, and she delivers. Boy, it's Prince and Charles doing most of the scoring, combining for 27 of New York's 35 points. So Minnesota has hit 10 of its 15 shots in this quarter. Before that miss by fouls. Shot clock is off. Charles sets the screen, and Prince went up against fouls, and that didn't work out so well. Maya Moore's team with a 45-37 lead at the half. Tina Charles with 20 points and 10 rebounds. Maya has 15 fouls, 14 to lead the way for the Lynx. The Minnesota up 45-37. We'll get you back to Chris Cotter and Katie Douglas in the studio for the halftime report presented by State Farm. That's coming up right after these messages. The Lynx with the lead at the half.
Percentage and blocked shots on the season.
Also coming into this game, shooting over 67% from the floor, second only to Crystal Langhorne in the league. There you see the numbers Tina Charles doing most of the work, not getting a lot of support. In fact, Vaughn and Hartley have not scored. And Sugar Rogers only had 2 points in that first half.
Those interesting lineups on the floor in that first half that Bill Laimbeer had to go to because of the foul trouble, especially to his bigs.
Lindsay Whalen, 4 points in the first half. Maya Moore with the floater. It just ticks off the rim. That's rebound number 11 for Tina Charles. Leah Hartley also did not score in the first half, missed all 4 of her shots. Prince got a good look at it and delivered the 3.
Yeah, Epiphany Prince is going to need to become a scorer for the Liberty to get back in this game. She is the #1 option from the perimeter in terms of their starters.
And everybody not named Tina Charles only hit 27% of their shots in the first half for New York. There's vintage Lindsay Whalen. Earlier this year, set the WNBA record for most wins by a player in their career. Hartley trying to get things going. And that's a good sign for Kia Vaughn, who picked up 3 fouls in only 5 minutes in the first half and was limited.
Not normally Kia Vaughn's game. Defensively, that's what you want when you go against her, is to make her take those shots from the perimeter.
It's the first shot attempt of the night for Vaughn, and there is a foul out on the perimeter. They're going to get Brunson. That's foul number 3 for Rebecca Brunson. Talk about not a good first half, averaging 11 points a game, scoreless in the first half.
And even though she's picked up her scoring this season, Rebecca Brunson, especially from the perimeter, her 3-point scoring, her #1 asset to this team is her defense and her rebounding. And her minutes were limited in the first half because of fouls. But you see her right now fighting with Tina Charles. I mean, she's still a premier defender.
Hartley can't get it to go. Foul's able to get inside. Brunson with 4 championships. You might recall she won one with Sacramento back in 05.
And right there, that's what she's added to her game this season. That one didn't go down, but she is now a 3-point threat.
Prince hits 2 in a row. Only a 3-point advantage for Minnesota. They've led by as many as 10. Fouls, takes it right at Kia Vaughn. And she just picked up her 4th foul of the night. Tonight, after soccer, it's the Spurs. Tottenham and Roma square off in International Champions Cup on ESPN. SportsCenter at night. John Butchergrass and Nicole Briscoe with NFL training camp news. All the best from the world of soccer, Major League Baseball, the WNBA. SportsCenter at night streams live on the ESPN app. Maya goes inside and gets hit by Zealous, her 3rd. So New York's bench the last couple of games has been on fire, and that has not been the case tonight.
I mean, the last 2 games when New York was 2-0 and really playing the pace that Bill Laimbeer wanted, you see what they were able to bring in terms of scoring. Averaging 35 points off the bench, only 7 tonight. You know, and that comes with the pace at which they play. Bill Laimbeer said, we want to play up and down, want to play fast, so that both teams have to go to their bench because the players get a little fatigued, but they have not been able to force that pace, much because Minnesota is so efficient offensively, so they can't run.
New York with back-to-back wins against Washington and Connecticut before the All-Star break. First time they've won consecutive games since mid-June, and in large part because their bench delivered. Whalen gets it to Brunson. And that one just cups out.
She really is struggling with her shot tonight.
0 for 5 from the floor. Rhea Hartley, mother of a 5-year-old boy who's on the road with her.
Five-month-old boy. There's a big difference there.
You would know. Huge difference. 5-month-old Bryson. Turnover forced. Maya Moore gets back on defense, and Zealous goes right after her. And the foul is called on Maya. And the second foul on Maya Moore.
How about Maya Moore, though? The hustle she did to get back. A lot of players would have just let that layup go. She went back and then zealous. Other players would have shied away from that contact. She kind of lowered her shoulder and said, all right, bring it on.
Certainly embraced it. And Shavonte Zealous has yet to hit a field goal tonight, but has 4 free throws that have gone in. Second year in New York. Played for Bill Lambier in Detroit when she came out of Pitt in 2009. Bad miss by Simone, and the ball is off of Fowles, who says, I didn't touch it. Would you ever say I didn't touch it if you touched it?
Not quite sure how to answer that question.
Talking about on the basketball court.
Oh.
In that instance.
Oh, of course, especially in pickup. You know, there's no truth telling out there.
Honesty doesn't get you anywhere. Bryson's mom just got her first basket of the night. New York on a nice run. 13-4 run to close to within 1. Coming out of the locker room on fire, and Lindsay Whalen lands on her back.
So Lindsay Whalen, for the first time since 2008, had a break during the season because she wasn't named an All-Star. So what did she do over the break? Well, her husband, Ben Grieve, is a golfer. And this past weekend was the Minnesota Open, which Ben Grieve won. You see him sitting right there. And after the first round on Friday, he was leading. And Lindsay had Saturday off because of the All-Star game. There he is. There's Ben with the trophy. And so she called up the tournament and said that she wanted to come. I'm Lindsay Whalen, you know, play for the Minnesota Lynx. My husband's in the lead right now.
And the defending champion.
But she needed a golf cart because she needed to be off her feet. She had practiced the next day. Didn't want to walk around for 8 hours. And she was denied. The Minnesota native, the hero, she played for the U, she's won championships here, and she was told, no, you can't have a golf cart. That's only for those who need the handicap access. Great take by Shavonte Zealous. She's getting up slowly.
Yeah, Zealous is in pain, and she crumbled to the floor after she made the basket. If Lindsay Whalen can't get a cart in Minnesota,
I mean, come on,
like you not getting a cart in Connecticut.
This is the thing. It's not like handicap parking where there's a limited number of spaces. They were letting other people on. Just give her a cart. Let her go cheer on her husband. So she didn't go. Sunday, she said she like followed it on an app, and she said Sunday it was Golf Sunday. She was watching the end of the British Open and following Ben on the app. So there's Ben cheering her on, and she didn't get to cheer him on.
That's very, very bizarre. And it was hot, too. Very hot in Minnesota this past weekend. And, yeah, she wants to stay off her feet. But Ben's a very good golfer. The first...
Look at that. Poor Ben. Instead of Minnesota Open champion, it said Lindsay Whalen's husband. See? Minnesota Open champion.
When we come back, we'll see what's going on with Shavonte Zealous. Good to see her walking off.
You see the look on Shavonte Zealous' face.
The only good news is she's a right-hander.
Yeah.
Rosemary Regal, longtime UConn trainer, now the trainer for the New York Liberty. Maya gets him a much-needed 3.
Rebound assist to Rebecca Brunson, too. She's not scoring, but she's making her presence felt, Brunson.
New York outscoring Minnesota 13-10 so far in this quarter, and Tina Charles has not taken a shot. Another rebound for Brunson. Charles 8 of 15 from the floor for 20 points in the first half. Maya's starting to feel it. New York got to within 1, and then Maya tumbled. On the switch, Whalen momentarily had Charles. Now Fouls goes for another block, and Epiphany Prince was able to sneak in.
And you talked about the contributions from players other than Tina Charles. We were talking about that with her before the game, and she said, right now, you know, other teams look at us, and the idea is you've got to stop Tina Charles to stop New York. And she said, I don't want that. You know, I want our bench to come alive like they have been. I want Shavante to come alive like she has been the last few games.
And they have done that in this third quarter. Hartley got it stripped. Moore pulls up. 3 in a row. Prince creates on her own. Maya Moore has scored Minnesota's last 8 points. For New York, got 2 within 1. Some subs going to come in at the next whistle. Sylvia wanted it, guarded by Stokes. Maya's streak is broken. Brunson able to get the tough rebound, but couldn't find a teammate. And they're going to get fouls, I believe. Yes, fouls called for the personal foul. Maya wanted Allen to be called for the elbow.
I mean, the Maya Moore trilogy can happen in a lot of ways here. Hits the 3 defensively. She just picks the pocket, goes the other. What should I do? There's a big there. I'm going to stop and pop another 3. This building really comes alive when they see plays like that from Maya Moore.
Marvelous player, the overall #1 pick when she was the Rookie of the Year in 2011. Has won championships all over the world. Fouls couldn't hang on to it. And the ball stays with New York. They get the 14 seconds on the shot clock. Lindsay Allen, the rookie point guard from Notre Dame, back in. Giving Bria Hartley a rest. Shot clock at 1. Allen has to shoot. Lynette Pearson ends up on the deck. And New York holds on to it again.
New York's done a good job this third quarter getting to the offensive glass, getting pretty good shots. And as you've mentioned, it's been a lot from Epiphany Prince, not a ton from Tina Charles.
Off the inbound, Lindsay Allen able to scoop one in. Signed after Brittany Boyd hurt her Achilles after being cut in training camp. Lynette Pearson pumps one in. She has 7 off the bench tonight.
Yeah, she brings a real veteran toughness and presence on the floor. There's a rebound.
And a travel for Sylvia.
It's one of those situations as a big, you go up to catch the ball and you know there's a lot of feet near your feet, and she just got ahead of herself there.
That was gone. I want her to play 2. I want her to play 2.
Sugar Rogers is back into the game for New York. She only has 2 points tonight. Rebecca Allen in the paint.
She's been really solid. We've seen her score from the outside, now from the inside. Good minutes on the off the bench for Bill Lambier.
6'2" player in her 3rd year. Maya, terrific fake, rid herself of Allen. Tina's 3rd rebound of the quarter, but she has not scored in this quarter. Allen again. She has equaled her season high with 8 points. Rogers running into traffic and got it taken away. And now fouls on the breakout. Her first bucket of the quarter after scoring 14 in the first half. Sugar maybe forcing things a little bit. With a tough shot down the lane. 7 seconds left to go in the quarter. Maya's going to go out for Simone Augustus. Sugar just 1 of 5 from the floor. Maya sits down with a game-high 25 points through 3 quarters. Tina Charles not on the floor. Montgomery misses to put a capper on the 3rd quarter. New York able to fight back. Down by 10 at the break, now only down 3.
As some things differently, you heard Cheryl Reeve talking about that, but I thought New York's other players were just more active, and Tina was happy to be a facilitator and find them. I mean, without her involvement, New York had 10 points in the paint in that quarter. They had 12 in the entire first half.
4th quarter underway in St. Paul. And New York gives it away. Montgomery was fouled. Greenway picks up her first foul. Shavonte Zealous hurt her wrist earlier in this game. Epiphany Prince was having her knee looked at in between the quarters. Tina Charles starts the 4th on the bench as Simone gets inside.
That was a tough corral by Simone Augustus because help side defense was coming.
Sugar just can't get it going tonight. And a foul. That's 2 quick ones on Raincock Akunwe. And we have just gotten word that Shavonte Zealous will not return to the game tonight because she hurt that left wrist bracing herself from a fall.
And we talked about it early in the game, how dangerous she can be in transition and getting to the free throw line. And Cheryl Reeve said transition defense will be important for her team this last quarter. And that's a blow for Bill Lambier.
Zealous with 7 points tonight, 5 of them from the free throw line. Lindsay Allen gets it and runs. And after almost throwing it away, New York able to recover. Raincock Akunwe's second basket. Three bench players in now for Cheryl Reeve, including Gia Perkins, 1 and done. And with that miss, Maya Moore gets up. She will check in.
You knew it wasn't going to be long. A few empty possessions offensively for Minnesota.
And Tina Charles will make her 4th quarter debut as well. Lindsay Whalen also checking in. Pearson got some space, but unable to score on the rookie, but it's nice to have Sylvia Fowles hanging around.
Fowles says, all right, I don't get a touch, a few possessions in a row. I'll find my own offense, getting to the offensive glass.
Vaughn, tough matchup against Sylvia. He's got the height advantage. Another good box out by Cornette Pearson. Minnesota's led by as many as 10 this game, led by 8 at the half. Allen threw it away. Gia Perkins beats Vaughn to the basket. So Minnesota with a little run, up by 7, timeout on the floor. Minnesota on an 8-2 run, so New York takes a timeout.
For the All-Star break. There's a lot of really great stories in this league. You and I were talking to Tina Charles earlier today. She is such an impressive young leader in this league. She does so much for the community off the court. We've seen tonight what she can do on the court.
Looking for her first basket of the second half. That doesn't go. Remember, this is a team that's missing Swin Cash, who retired, and Tanisha Wright, who was taking a year off. So Tina was sort of thrust into that leadership role, and she's done a good job.
Yeah, a player who's kind of quiet by nature. Lets her game do the talking for her.
Fouls, gets doubled, lost the ball. Stays with Minnesota, but only 3 seconds to shoot.
Bria Hartley was just right in front of us. You talked about it earlier with a 5-month-old son. He travels with her. And you know, the challenges that poses for a young mom to have her son in the room with her. If he's up at midnight, 2 in the morning, you're up with him.
Whalen, one-handed, almost got it to go. Or Rebecca Brunson right there. Nasty crossover by Maya, then rid herself of Rogers. So much fun to watch her. And that's like that, the lead's back up to 9. Bria Hartley doesn't look like she had a kid 5 months ago, but she said she only gained about 17 pounds.
She hits the 3 right on cue. Part of that was morning sickness.
Yeah.
Part of that is, I'm sure, genetics. It took her no time to lose the weight, but gosh, when everyone else is just, you know, packing their sneakers and clothes, she's got a diaper bag, diapers, stroller, car seat, everything on the road trips.
Whalen from the baseline. Said she always has to find out where the nearest target is so she can go and get some supplies.
She didn't have any trouble here in Minnesota finding one of those.
Tina too hard off the glass, boy. Charles stuck on 20 points since the second quarter. 0 for 3 in this half from the floor. Brunson decides to drive on Charles and got it knocked away. Rogers finds Tina, who finally gets a basket in the second half. And a double-double at halftime with 20 points and 10 rebounds. Just a 6-point advantage. Maya really trying to get open. Whalen put her head down, and Prince stuck her hand in there to force the steal. Bria Hartley scores, and a timeout emphatically taken by Cheryl Reeve. New York in the ball game as we take a timeout.
Have been consistently great this year. It's Minnesota and LA, and the teams that are hot at the end, because you get those one-game playoffs.
The unforgiving format in the first couple of rounds. Again, the top 8 seeds, regardless of conference, make the playoffs. Minnesota only up by 4.
Look at the attention defensively that Maya Moore is getting. Still shakes free.
Prince gets the rebound, and New York can make it a 1-possession game. Charles takes the baseline, jumper, and nails it.
So what did you see? On the same side of the floor, Finney Prince, Tina Charles. I mean, that's where Bill Lambier wants the basketball. In one of those 2 players' hands, let them make something happen the last 3:30.
Charles and Prince, the 2 Liberty players in double figures.
Wow. Rebecca Brunson doing Brunson things. I mean, outstanding rebounder. Big board for them.
A lot of black shirts around, and Brunson was able to corral it. She's got 8 boards. But Minnesota's gone cold. 9-2 run for New York. They can tie or take the lead. Hartley got it bothered big time by Brunson.
I think they needed to switch sides of the floor, reverse the ball, get it to the side where Prince and Tina Charles were located.
Approaching 2.5 minutes to go. Minnesota's 2 losses this year were both to Eastern Conference teams. Connecticut and Chicago, the much maligned East. And here's New York, another Eastern Conference team, giving them trouble. 2:19 left to go. Minnesota's missed 5 straight shots. We'll be back.
You would expect the offense to run through them the last couple of minutes of this game.
Charles. Triple teamed, and Maya forced the turnover. She's a little bit fired up by her defense.
Great job by Minnesota to converge on Tina Charles. Again, you go to your stars at the end of the game for New York. That's Prince and Tina Charles.
Minnesota's been scoreless the last 3.5 minutes. 6 straight empty possessions. Make it 7. 0 for 6 from the floor and a turnover. Prince gets one to roll on in. 11 points in the second half. Zealous again out after hurting her left wrist. Has ice bandaged around it. So first tie the second half on that run. And Rebecca Brunson is just having a night to forget. 0 for 7 from the floor.
In terms of her field goal shooting, that is true. She's done a lot of really good things defensively, getting on the glass, but she's really struggled with her shot here tonight.
Yeah, 8 rebounds and 3 assists, but a donut from the floor. And New York can take the lead for the first time since early in the second quarter. Rogers with the left hand just wouldn't go down. Maya with the ball with a minute left to go. Hounded by Prince. And Cheryl Reeve calls a timeout with 12 seconds left on the shot clock. Minnesota's had some scary possessions lately. Tie ball game in St. Paul.
20, tell him 20.
Time win against Phoenix tonight. 1 foul to give both ways. Minnesota has led most of this game, and now in a tie ball game, they haven't scored in 4.5 minutes. Whalen picked up her dribble, has to improvise and does it beautifully.
How about with the option Cheryl Reeve has? She draws up a play for Lindsay Whalen to take it, go around the corner, and score.
Minnesota had missed its last 7 shots before that toughie by Lindsay.
The baseline was cut off. Lindsay Whalen tried to turn the corner and get the layup, but still able to find a way to finish here. Great footwork. Hartley avoids the foul. That's a tough shot. Look at this. Ooh. Learn how to pivot, kids at home. Learn how to pivot. I think the bench is enjoying this a little bit. I'd say so.
And so is Lindsay's husband. There's Ben Greaves.
So is the Minnesota Open champion.
And she made that shot right in front of Ben. The Lynx got him really good seats tonight.
But they would not allow him on a golf cart while he was here.
We're gonna go raise the roof. Okay, won't run. Let's throw ahead. Throw ahead. Okay, Sill's running. Phoebe, get yourself positioned. Matter of fact, Sill, you take it out. You take it out so that Phoebe can get down here. Right?
Okay? Fake up. You're on the baseline. Look to get in the corner, and you got 2 men, Shot or Tina. Stokes hammer that glass. All right, you got it? We are. If you don't have anything there, you got to come out and pick and roll with her.
See here, Bill Lambier talking about running pick and roll offensively, and Cheryl Reeve in her huddle, in her timeout, drawing up her next offensive set. She was saying take you out of bounds, assuming that New York ties the game. That way, if she wants, she does not have to use a timeout there because she's already showed her team what she wants them to run on the other end.
Tina Charles, 24 points, 16 rebounds. Rogers being absolutely shadowed by Augustus.
There's the pick and roll.
Charles got bottled up a little bit and a foul on the shot.
Pick and roll action. Rebecca Brunson, as the help defender, steps out to contest the shot. She taking it. Was that a 2 or was that a 3? And we'll see here. Pick and roll. Brunson guarding Tina Charles. She hedges out. Not a lot of contact, but just enough for the officials to make the call.
2-shot foul. Prince, who is normally a wonderful free throw shooter at 85%, with the miss. It's 1 out of 2. Lindsay Whalen with the hand gesture to get the crowd screaming some more as Prince took that second shot. And Minnesota nursing the slimmest of leads. Almost gave it away, and there's a tie-up with just under 18 seconds left to go.
Great job by Epiphany Prince defensively to get in the lane. See, oftentimes on the jump ball, it's not necessarily about the 2 people jumping. It's what's happening around the circle, jockeying for position, almost like a box out.
Prince and Whalen. Prince seemed to get a hand on it, and Kia Stokes was able to grab it. New York takes a timeout.
You had 2 players go right into the seats on the bench.
So New York takes its final timeout. Shot clock is off.
How important is possession of this basketball? Look at Rebecca Brunson, Sugar Rogers, both of them crash landing. A great job by Stokes to corral the ball, but look at those 2. You know, Sugar Rogers just boxing out Brunson so she couldn't get to the basketball, sacrificing her body so her team retained possession.
All right, screener, here comes Smith coming off. Stokes, you screen, go left to the rim. Sugar, you step out. Tina, you fill. Got it? Same play we ran in Phoenix, right?
Okay, grab it. Grab it. Okay, 1 stop, we win. Let's go, 1 stop. Let's go. What?
The officials now are at the monitor.
I think they're reviewing for a hostile act. I don't think there's anything hostile here at all. Sugar Rogers trying to box out Rebecca Brunson. They get caught up. That's a basketball play. To me, there's no foul there. There's no hostile act. There's no fling. There's no anything. Just 2 players really going after it.
Katie Smith had to get out of her chair to get out of the way.
But of course, she should be sitting there trying to catch at least her player.
You know what you're doing, right? You're screening foul. And then stepping out. The foul, they're going to switch. You may step out and have a wide open shot.
Minnesota, no fouls to give.
Bill Lambier is looking for some sort of penetrating action going to the basket. And if you get a switch or if you get help, you may find the screener or someone on the perimeter wide open for a shot.
Kia Stokes with the inbound. And here's Epiphany Prince. Rogers for the lead. Off the mark, rebound, battled for. Stokes couldn't get it. And Minnesota hangs on. And Minnesota Lynx win their 17th game of the season as they stave off a furious comeback from New York.
And that was a great last play drawn up by Bill Lambier. There was a double screen and then a wide open Sugar Rogers. And she just couldn't get it to fall, but this is the shot you want if you're the New York Liberty. Check it out. A double staggered screen. Some switching going on, just as Bill Lambier told his team. Active ball, one more chance at it for Sugar Rogers. And Minnesota, one of the best defensive teams in the WNBA, wins this game on their last defensive possession.
Well, you're right. Sugar Rogers couldn't have asked for a better look. She was 0 for 4 from three-point range, 1 for 9 overall, just 2 points. But Maya Moore with a game-high 27 points, fouls, 18 points and 9 rebounds. Tina Charles, another double-double at 24 and 16. And Minnesota hangs on. And they are now 17 and 2. Our next WNBA game is a week from Thursday, right back here in St. Paul as Minnesota hosts Atlanta at 8 Eastern on ESPN2. Drone Racing League coming up.
In as the starting point guard the last 2 games, it gets everybody back to their natural position. New York has played really well in the last 2.
And you take a look at Minnesota, the familiar 5, Lindsay Whalen, the only one of the starters to not make an all-star game. She actually was able to spend some time at home during this all-star break.
So she got some chores done around the house, got her hair done. Pretty good weekend for Lindsay Whalen.
All that important stuff for the Hutchinson, Minnesota native. 2 of the best in the business, Fouls and Charles with the opening tip. And here's Bria Hartley, the new mom, bringing it up.
The most important thing about Bria Hartley at the point guard position is that it gets Epiphany Prince off the ball at her natural scoring 2-guard position.
Prince gets it back, and here is Shavonte Zealous, who has been more aggressive the last few games and hacked Sylvia Fouls as Zealous was trying to go for the steal.
Minnesota was in man-to-man defense that last possession. New York got them in a rotation, and one thing you'll see from Shavonte Zealous is attacking to the rim.
Coach Bill Lambier has asked her to be more aggressive offensively. Second leading scorer on this team behind Tina Charles, and that's just nifty inside to Sylvia. You can't stop her when she catches it there.
Screening action, if she gets space going to the rim, forget about it. If she's going to catch in the paint, it's going to be 2 points for Minnesota.
She leads all WNBA players in scoring in the paint this season. And a 3-second defensive 3-second call against Minnesota.
When we go back to that last possession where Sylvia Fouls started high, just a back screen by Maya Moore, does a great job. No bump by Zealous. Kia Vaughn couldn't get through it.
Prince at the line. Hits the free throw. Epiphany struggled when these 2 teams met the second game of the season. Just going 1 for 10 from the floor when she came off the bench. New York has had to shuffle its lineup a bit. A couple of players going to play in Eurobasket competition in June. But they love this lineup. Zealous misses long, and Kia Vaughn kicks it back out. Charles guarded by Fouls. If you weren't really anticipating much of that tonight.
Yeah, that just happened because there was some defensive rotation. Those 2 players normally do not match up head-to-head. Tina Charles plays the 4 position.
I mean, she's looking right at the play right here. I mean, come on.
It's not enough for Coach Lambier to get the whistle. He wants it 2 seconds earlier.
Conversation with Mai Forsberg, who is our crew chief tonight, joined by Byron Jarrett and Brenda Pantoja. Bill Lambier in his 5th year in charge of the Liberty, back-to-back East Conference best records, but they have stumbled in the playoffs and have not made it back to the WNBA Finals. Moore on on the switch now, guarded by Tina Charles. And Rebecca Brunson with the offensive rebound, but couldn't put it back. Lindsay Whalen goes crashing to the floor, and she's not getting up. And Cheryl Reeve very upset that nothing was called there. Whalen is up. Was free briefly under the basket, but Fowles couldn't get it to her, and that's a foul on Vaughn. Let's go back to Lindsay getting hit.
I think Cheryl Reeve was thinking it was an illegal screen. You come down and get to see it. Oof. Kia Vaughn kind of braced and lowered the shoulder.
I can't believe you guys missed that.
Whalen is not a player that is easily knocked down. One of the stronger players in the league. Maya.
You can be the strongest player in the league. Kia Vaughn is a big woman. If you run into Kia Vaughn, you're going to go down.
But Lindsay's staying in there. Cheryl Reeve has not made a move to get her out. Hartley left free after the double on Charles, and Rebecca Brunson comes up with another rebound. Only Tamika Catchings and Lisa Leslie have more rebounds in the history of this game. And how good is Maya?
Maya got by Shavonte Zealous, and there were two bigs there, but she was just too quick and got around them both.
Charles and Brunson are all tied up on the block.
You see Maya Moore, she gets past the quicker guard defender, and then when she gets inside, both Vaughn and Tia Charles are there, but stutter stepping to the side, she can get around, and she finishes as well with that extended arm finger roll as anyone in this league.
Maya, the second leading scorer on this team behind Sylvia Fowles, who is having a career year. Now Whalen is going to go over, and Chuck Barta, the trainer, looks at her elbow.
I think she's got some blood that they've got to take care of.
Lindsay Whalen in her 14th year in the league. Her first year here was 2010, after starting her career in Connecticut.
It's illegal. She's in that blind spot.
So they patch up Lindsay Whalen, and she's ready to go. That's the matchup of the fives with Vaughn and Fowles, and Minnesota forces the turnover. Brunson has extended her range as her career is going on, but that rimmed out. And that's going to be two fouls on Rebecca Brunson.
This is just where Shavonte Zealous excels. In transition and going to the basket, drawing contact. She leads the New York Liberty in free throw attempts because of the physical way she goes to the basket. Now, Rebecca Brunson picking up her second foul is big for this reason. She's their best perimeter defenders. That's why she was guarding Tina Charles. It's going to be a difficult task for Plannette Pearson now to come in and try to limit Charles on that end of the floor.
And here comes Pearson in her 15th year. Only Sue Bird is older, so she's the second oldest player in the league. Zealous gets to the line about 5.5 times per game on average, and she delivers.
Her last game against Connecticut, Shavonte Zealous was 11 for 11 from the free throw line. What do you do with that? If the double doesn't come, I mean, what do you do with that? She's too big, too strong, too efficient.
Fowles already with 4 points, 2 for 2 from the floor. And there's that matchup you talked about with Pearson guarding Charles. And Tina just shot it right over her.
That's the thing with Tina Charles and the way her game has expanded throughout the course of her career, and her ability now to face up, shoot the three, dribble, penetrate from the high post as well.
That is her 12th made three of the season, hitting over 30% from distance. Simone got her own miss. Rhea Hartley, part of that 3-team trade with Chicago and Washington. Timeout on the floor. We have a tie game as we go to a timeout.
There's a reason that Minnesota had 4 All-Stars out in Seattle. They've got some players who can get it done. Sylvia Fowles, one of them. Maya Moore, another. Another pretty spectacular move. And how about another All-Star? She doesn't play for Minnesota, but Tina Charles, pretty good.
And how about a fake out? That was not a timeout. But that would have been a terrific rollout, Rebecca.
It was still good. It was a good roll in.
Whalen curls around that screen. Whalen 14th in scoring in the history of this league, 3rd in assists. Pearson still gritty after all these years. Maya with the step through. Now numbers for New York, but the one person back was Fowles. And Tina got fouled on the follow. Now we're going to take a timeout. Minnesota up 2.
The energy off the bench, and he likes her scorer's mentality coming in to give his bench a boost.
And that's a role that she is started to accept. She's considered it a demotion, but you really can't blame her when you go from a starter to playing off the bench, but she's still getting healthy minutes and contributing. Fouls inside of Kia Stokes, who has checked in. As Kia Vaughn takes a rest. Tina Charles, how about aggressive?
6'4" big, gets the rebound and pushes it the entire length of the floor.
Tina has half of New York's points. And they bring the double on Fowles to force the turnover. Charles on Pearson.
And this is the pace right now that Bill Lambier wants to play. He wants to get out and push it. You know, he wants to get the defensive rebound and go. And when you have a big player like Tina Charles who can do that all by herself, there's only a handful of players in the league who can do this. Candace Parker is one of them for LA. Alyssa Thomas for New York is another. But what a luxury to have a big who can do that. And, you know, Cheryl Reeve was also talking to us how important pace is. She said we need to be efficient on the offensive end so we can slow down New York's push and transition.
Renee Montgomery in for Minnesota. Didn't take her long. Fritz can't get it to go, and Maya Moore comes up with the rebound. Monte Zellis, by the way, picked up the last New York foul. She's got 2. Lindsay Allen, the rookie out of Notre Dame with the ball in her hands, was cut by New York. And then they re-signed her after Brittany Boyd went out with an Achilles injury. In fact, got hurt in the game against Minnesota on May 18th.
Bill Lambier was really surprised that no other team picked her up when she was cut.
Tina again. She has scored the last 9 points for the Liberty. Point guard certainly at a premium, and it is surprising that no one picked up Lindsay Allen. That's Maya Moore going up in traffic.
Her ability to hang in the air, because she drew some contact on that too, but her athletic ability allowing her to finish.
Ties the game back up at 14. Long distance shot by Rebecca Allen, 3rd-year pro from Australia. Inside Maya. Hit from behind by Stokes.
We have 2 former MVPs and 2 former University of Connecticut players doing their thing so far tonight. Tina Charles, the range that she has on that jumper for a big. And on the other end, Maya Moore doing Maya Moore things. Look at the players converge. Tina Charles looked like she even got a piece of the shot, but Maya's still finishing.
There's Sugar Rogers. She has checked in for the first time tonight. 5th year out of Georgetown. Started her career here in Minnesota. Did not play a lot because she was playing behind some pretty quality people. And has taken advantage of her opportunity in New York. Named an All-Star this year. Charles gets a rest, excuse me.
And Sugar's had some good games against the Minnesota Lynx. And of course, when you go against your former team, always you want to show them what they are missing out on.
Had 20 in their first game this year, hitting 4 threes. Fouls bottled up, still got it up and in. You think you got her stopped, and you don't.
Footwork. Playing in the post is so much about footwork.
So Tina Charles now on the bench. Van Beer with 4 subs in.
Lindsay Allen is really good making that pass off a screen and roll.
Nayo Raincock-Akunwe with the basket. She is a rookie, went to Simon Fraser University in British Columbia. It's in Canada.
I love the geography lessons that you give during the course of a WNBA game.
She has been in the Canadian senior team since 2013. Kia Stokes with a couple of fouls now. Part of that collateral damage trying to stop Sylvia Fowles. You take a look at the upcoming WNBA national TV schedule. Coming up tonight at 10:30 Eastern, Seattle at Los Angeles. And Friday night, a doubleheader, Connecticut at Washington, Dallas at Seattle, 7 and 10 respectively Eastern time on NBA TV. And our next game will be a week from Thursday when Atlanta comes calling here to Minnesota at 8 Eastern time. For more on these games, go to WNBA.com or visit the WNBA app. Very happy to see that Elena Deladon not only played today, but got a double-double for Washington.
What, 29 and 10? She had a ridiculous performance, and they needed it. They had some struggles going into the All-Star break.
Fowles back at the line. Sylvia now with 8 points. Tina Charles has 10 to lead New York. Sugar Rogers can't quite get it to fall. And another rebound for Fowles. Maya Moore, after a short break, will check in at the next whistle for Minnesota. They continue to go inside. And another foul on New York. Kia Vaughn now has 2. Both Kias, Stokes and Vaughn, with 2 personal fouls for Bill Lambier's team here in the first quarter.
Yeah, the bigs for each team have been unstoppable, even though their games are so different.
Across the board. 2-2.
You know, Sylvia Fowles can get you in that foul trouble because she posts so deep and so strong. And there's Tina Charles coming back in the game. Minnesota hasn't had a great answer for her because of foul trouble with Rebecca Brunson, their best post defender, being on the bench.
Sylvia now 4 for 4 from the line. She scored the last 6 points for the Lynx, who take their largest lead at 4 points. Closely played first quarter. Charles over Pearson.
I mean, what do you do? Pearson is a good defender, veteran player. She was right up on Tina, but Tina has such a high release, she doesn't need a lot of space to get her shot off.
Tina only had 6 points the first time these two teams played, but she was under the weather in a game that Minnesota won on the road. Fowles can't hang on, and now Fowles gets a very good hand as she heads to the bench in favor of Natasha Howard.
I mean, just look at the space. Tina Charles doesn't need much, and that's what she does. A little reverse pivot. What'd she have? A couple inches between her, her torso area, and Pearson still gets the shot off. It's because of the high release.
Moore got Tina up in the air, and then a block from behind by Allen. Ball stays with Minnesota, 7 seconds to shoot. Talked about that first game, the first meeting between these two teams, and Tina an uncharacteristically bad night. She's not feeling well. She seems to be feeling pretty well tonight. She's all over it.
Nothing but healthy tonight.
Charles quickly got around Pearson, battles for the rebound. How about that one? And finishes with her left hand.
Not only finishes, knocks Maya Moore's hairband right out of her hair. It's a double whammy.
Maya's got it back into place. 10-second difference between the game and shot clock. Montgomery on the switch, guarded by Charles, is quicker, but doesn't win that battle. And now New York tries to get the last shot of the quarter. Good defense by Maya to keep it away from Sugar Rogers. 4.4 seconds left to go. Maya continues to struggle with the headband. Going with the double headband. Inbounded. Charles guarded by Howard. And that is off the mark. The end of a very well-played first quarter. With 14 of New York's 20 points in the first quarter, scored 13 of their last 15 in a brilliant 10 minutes. That's a foul, and it could be a 4-point play. Rebecca Allen crashed into Maya Moore.
It's amazing to think back earlier in the season in May when Maya Moore was really struggling from the floor. She was not shooting well from the field, not shooting well from three, and you knew it was only a matter of time till this happened. I mean, she's found her groove, getting the and one from the three-point stripe. You know, Pam, oftentimes Bill Laimbeer is not the easiest coach to interview in-game. I knew I was right when I walked over, and the first thing he said was, which is your better side? Where should I stand?
Wow.
I think he figures he doesn't have a bad side, so it really doesn't matter to him.
Yeah, it's all about you. And Maya with that three-pointer gives Minnesota the 25-20 lead. Sugar Rogers gets her first basket of the night. She is the second leading scorer on this team behind Tina Charles. Lindsay Whalen back in. Maya double teamed. Rogers took it away. Now Lindsay Allen finds Rogers. Tasha Howard now trying to stop Charles as Allen hits.
Rebecca Allen just brings another dimension to the New York Liberty team when she is playing well, because she's got good size at the guard spot, can hit the three-point shot.
She's had tremendous success playing pro ball in her native Australia. Brunson ticks the front of the rim. Rebecca Brunson did not score in the first quarter. Neither did Simone Augustus.
Rebecca Brunson's minutes limited because of foul trouble.
Picked up a couple, trying to guard Charles. Tina found some space.